G'day there. I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for inspiration at the start of the year. And I find that I get inspired by a whole range of different things. There's the obvious, like the experience of travelling, the landscape itself, and what other photographers are creating. But my photography is also inspired by things that are perhaps not so obvious. I find inspiration in music that I listen to, in different gear that I use, and in the stories that others share. So for something a little different, I'm going to share with you 3 YouTube channels that have inspired me over the years, and I'm going to explain how they've done that in different ways. And none of the channels are about photography. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, which I've just used to completely revamp my own site, which I want to share with you later on in this video. But if you need a website, a domain, or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace and use the discount code AndrewMarr. Being a creator here on YouTube, I don't get much time to watch a heap of other channels, so I'm a little bit choosy about the ones that I watch regularly. The 3 channels that I'm going to share with you are all based here in Australia, and I've done that because as an Australian-based creator myself, I know how challenging it can be to get your content recommended outside of Australia here on YouTube. 2 of the channels are relatively small and should have a lot more subscribers than they've actually got. First up though is Beau Miles, who's actually got quite a substantial channel. Beau is based in Victoria and he lectures in outdoor education at Monash University. His early adventures are about some of the big adventures he's been on around the world, climbing mountains and kayaking across open seas.
Here we are at our most vulnerable. You know, the sun going down, the tides turning against us, and we're still hours from shore.
But as with all of us, life changes with family and kids, and his videos have reflected this change. He still actively finds adventure, but these adventures are more local. Sometimes it's a project.
In fact, I'm doing it with May because she can't talk yet, so she can't give it away. I'm going to try and build an office for my wife without her knowing.
Other times he creates a unique challenge.
And so what about my commute, Lance? Can my commute offer me the adventures of high mountaintops and wide seas, having walked to work? Again.
Most of the time, he uses an adventure to learn something new about himself. There's a lot to love about Beau and the content he shares. There's his enthusiasm for any kind of adventure, his quirkiness, and his ability to not take himself too seriously.
I've never met this goat. I've drove past it most days. How are you? Yeah, you're a friendly bugger, aren't you?
I'm inspired by the way he seeks out local adventures and his ability to observe not only what's around him in the environment, but importantly, being aware of his own reactions to situations he finds himself in or what he's experiencing.
It sort of reinvents your idea of what the day can produce as well. Like tomorrow I'll just go on to being a parent. Won't skip a beat. I'll be a bit tired, but I'll have created a forest the day before.
I've mentioned in previous videos the benefits of seeking out local photography opportunities and the importance of observation and how it can impact your ability to see compositions. And even though the adventures we find ourselves on are perhaps not as extreme as those undertaken by Beau, I still find that there's plenty to take out of each one of his videos that I can apply to my trips and how I can approach seeing and appreciating the landscape around me. Anyway, if you're keen for an adventure with a bit of a twist, I recommend you check out Beau's channel. Next we have We Will Roam, who is Emma and Ant, a couple originally from the UK. After living and working in Australia, a few years ago they decided to pack their entire lives up into their troopy and set off to explore Australia and beyond. What you get in their videos is a laid-back and considered approach to travelling and overlanding, which I find incredibly refreshing in this space.
6 weeks sounded like a long time, but I reckon it's going to fly by.
Each video is beautifully filmed, edited and narrated, and if that's not creative enough, Ant also records and produces all of the music that they use in their videos. I'll admit, I wish I could use some of that music in some of my own videos because it really works well with the Australian landscape.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
They have a unique style, and what comes through in their videos is an appreciation of the landscapes they visit and the opportunity they have to explore, which I think is something we could all be looking for in our own photography trips. Their travel plans were impacted by COVID, but they quickly adapted and found opportunities in that challenge. That's another great lesson for anyone planning a big trip.
It's 2021 tomorrow. You excited?
Yeah. 2020 was interesting. But we've got a good thing going. I think as long as we're happy, keep doing what we're doing.
As a result, they haven't yet visited Western Australia, but instead returned to Tasmania, a place that they've built a strong connection with, which I can understand from my own experiences visiting there. And it's this connection that they're able to convey through their videos that I find draws me back to their channel. They talk about how different places and the distances found in Australia makes them feel. And I'm often inspired to reflect on how I feel within a landscape and the connection I have with a location, as it's something that I try and convey through my videos as well as the images I capture. So if you're after a great insight into full-time travel in Australia, I recommend you head over to their channel. Now, at the beginning of the year, I decided I wanted to completely revamp my website that I use Squarespace for. And I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Giving my site a fresh new look was actually quite an easy process with Squarespace because you can select a new template and work on the new site in preview mode in the background while the original site is still live. Not only did I choose a different template, but I wanted to customize the way it looked. And this is very simple because as you configure the site style options, they're pushed out across the website to give you a consistent look. And you can click and drag content around to where you want it on the page. I only launched the new site a few days ago and I'm really happy with the way it looks. My blog was ported across from the old site without me having to do anything. And I've added collections to my images using categories and tags so they're easier to browse through. And I'm excited to announce that I've also launched my online store, which integrates perfectly with the rest of the site. So now I have prints available along with a range of gear that can be purchased through the integration Squarespace has with payment gateways. This was really easy to set up without me having to deal with any code. So head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. That'll give you heaps of time to get set up with your website. And then when you're ready to launch, make sure you go to squarespace.com/Andrew Marr to get 10% off your first purchase. The final channel that I want to share is a local creator from Western Australia, and that's Salty Davenport. Having grown up in country WA, Salty is all too familiar with the incredible locations along with the vast distances that you find in Western Australia. And he makes a feature of this in many of his adventures. With a troopy set up for remote overlanding, Salty often heads out along the road less travelled to find locations off the beaten track or camping spots that don't even appear on most maps.
And just peace and quiet, and you got the place to yourself. So this is what it's about for me, and it's as simple as turning off the road anywhere you want and make your own track.
He's drawn to the isolation, and this is an aspect I enjoy about many of my own adventures, as landscape photography can be quite a solo experience. When I'm watching some of his videos, I'm reminded of how the popular spots are often not the best options, as they can be crowded and over-photographed. And to look for the beauty in what might seem a relatively mundane landscape. Because while it's easy to capture a shot of an obviously attractive scene, it requires a little more skill to appreciate the beauty when it's just not so apparent.
There's a brief history on Thomas Paine. So Thomas Paine put this joint on the map. He came out here late 1800s, early 1900s looking for gold, and there wasn't many other people out here doing the same thing. It was kind of no man's land.
Salty researches many of the areas he visits before he gets there to gain a knowledge of the natural and cultural history of the region. And I've been inspired to do a similar thing myself, and I think it helps to connect with a location if you build an understanding of the landscape's formation and its significance to those who have come before you. And it's this connection that can help in finding the story that I want to capture through my images. So if you can't get enough of the landscapes in Western Australia, there's more to see over on Salty's channel. Now, as you can see, these channels are quite different, but there are some similarities. You won't be bombarded with videos from any of these recommendations. All of these channels are less interested in feeding an algorithm and more focused on creating quality content. They all have a laid-back style and a deep appreciation for the land that they're exploring. They all tell a story well, which helps connect with the viewer. And I think that's true whether you're creating a film or a landscape image. How you tell a story is key to building a connection. I encourage you to visit all of these channels and check out their videos for yourself. There'll be links in the description below. Let them know that I sent you over there. If you have any recommendations for channels you think I should check out, then please share them in the comments below. I hope this has provided some inspiration for your next landscape adventure. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.